Well, 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 friends. It's episode 2 time. And we got a lot to talk about. I have a lot of Skrulls. Am I a Skrull? Are you a Skrull? Is Nick Fury a Skrull? Probably not. I mean, that would be kind of weird. So before we jump into it, I just want to say we talked about the AI credits in the last episode, in episode 1. So if you are wanting to talk more about that or hear my thoughts on that, I would highly recommend you go check out my episode 1 review. Also, if you haven't seen episode 2, spoilers everywhere, taking us out. Let's jump right into this. Let me give you a little summary before we do. So basically what's happening in this episode, we finally got our Captain Marvel recap. We basically went back in time to recap that so that we could understand why we're back in the 90s. It's kind of weird to me that the Captain Marvel recap didn't come sooner, but I guess it's relevant now because we're going back to the 90s. And in the 90s, we just get the solidification of the promise that Fury made to the Skrull people to find them a world, and in exchange, they became his spies. Dun dun dun! Back in the present day, we're getting the fallout from the attack that happened in Russia. And with the fallout from that attack, we basically find out that Nick has almost no one now in his corner. There's a bunch of political stuff happening with like sort of Russia coming after America and kind of getting the whole world to turn on America, which is pretty crazy stuff. And in addition to that, we're also finding out some information about the Skrulls. So while all of this is happening, Sonya's behind the scenes finding out more information. There could be some sort of crazy thing that's happening that's going to make the Skrulls super strong that Gravik is working on. Everyone is splintering off. Talos even leaves Fury to go do his own thing, which we'll talk about a little bit more as we go through this. And yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. Gravik is also kind of just taken over the world because he's calling in all the Skrulls to tell them, I'm in charge now. I'm the general, we're going to war, and basically pretty much all of them bow down to him. Pretty much all of them bow down to him, but not everyone. And by the end of it, Talos is trying to set up a meeting with Gravik to try to basically deal with him himself, and Nick Fury, it's revealed, has a wife. Secret wife. Huh? So now let's get into some of the nitty-gritty points of this. I have my notes. I'm going to be referring to those as we go. Yeah, so one of the things that I really want to talk about in this episode, and just in this series in general, is the makeup budget. Whoa, the makeup in this looks so good for these Skrulls. I mean, honestly, I feel like the makeup budget for this show was bigger than the CG budget for The Flash at this point, because yeah, the makeup looks amazing. And yeah, I know in The Flash they claimed it was a stylistic choice, but not everyone's buying that. I believe that, but I also think it was a stylistic choice that may have been made to, I don't know, save on that CG budget maybe. But in this, we are spending all the money on makeup, and it is good. It is crazy good. Also, can we talk about one of my favorite performances in this show so far? Olivia Coleman. I'm looking at you. Olivia Coleman as Sonya is freaking fantastic. She is brilliant, giddy, kind of evil, but also just great. Like, honestly, I think she's going to end up being one of my favorite characters from the show, and I hope we get to see more of her. I hope she doesn't die. You know what I mean? I just feel like she's so great. So just seeing her in that scene where she ends up tormenting, basically, tormenting is putting it very lightly, the undercover Skrull agent who is disguised as an American, who gets taken in by the Russians, and she comes in to basically work her magic and get some information out of him. Wow, what a fabulous scene. And what a fabulous performance so far. Speaking of amazing performances, we need to talk about my guy and yours, Samuel L. Jackson, who is crushing it. Like I said in my episode 1 review, I really think the show is going to end up being sort of a character study on Nick Fury. And I gotta say, I'm so here for that. Every scene he had in this episode, if in episode 3, if he literally acts with a mop, I will probably enjoy it, because just watching him act opposite anyone in this has been a sheer delight for me. So we get a few different scenes in this. We get one where he is acting opposite Elizabeth, who is Maria Hill's mother. That made me well up. The part where she walks away and he is trying to just hold his composure. The part where she says to him, "Are you the reason that my daughter came back in a box?" So good. So good. Sorry, my mic isn't over here, so I'm gonna whisper this way today. That scene was amazing. The scene with Talos where he basically calls him out on lying to him and withholding information, and Talos basically says, "You used us as your spies, and now you're critiquing me when I'm just trying to find a safe place for my people," is ridiculous. That whole scene was amazing. And the whole scene with him and Rhodey, wow, what a fabulous scene. That sort of standoff between the two of them, and Fury basically trying to guilt trip Rhodey almost, or level with Rhodey maybe is a better way to put it, and Rhodey having none of it and being like, "Look, I'll level with you. This is me leveling with you. You suck right now, and so you don't get to have a job. That's it." And that line Nick Fury has, that line, it's so Nick Fury, and I was just like, I love that line. What a great Nick Fury line. I believe that is from a comic, but I don't remember what comic it's from right now off the top of my head. If I remember, I will add it into the video description down there, or I'll pin it in the comments for you guys. Well, Rhodey says to him, "You know what? You're out." And Fury says to him, "Even when I'm out, I'm still in." And it's just so Nick Fury. I loved it. The fights in this are also really, I think, quite good, although maybe a bit overly brutal at times. The scene with Gravik fighting the guys in the meat locker, and there's definitely opportunities there where he had the option to shoot people, and instead of shoot them, he just decided to brutally break a man's back, and it's a little brutal, but I'm really enjoying the action in this as well, and just some of these really tight fights that they're doing. Also, speaking of everything that goes on in that meat locker, from that sort of undercover Skrull who's pretending to be an American and gets pulled in by the Russians and then gets interrogated by Sonya, we find out that yes, Gravik is apparently doing something to try to make the Skrulls stronger. All I'm saying is, hear me out, Super Skrulls. I think that's what's coming. I think there might even be other things that the Skrulls already have that we don't know about, and I'm very here to find out if I am right about Super Skrulls or what kind of advancements we're going to be seeing. But yeah, I think it's going to be Skrulls with powers, stretching their arms, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't know. I also have a feeling that the Fantastic Four are going to show up in this, but I know that sounds crazy, so this prediction could be way off. Yeah, we also get Nick's wife, and guess what? Nick's wife's a Skrull? Huh? I love that so much, actually. And I knew Fury was going to have a secret wife at some point. I think there were allusions to it in Away From Home, or Far From Home. Sorry, Spider-Man Far From Home. But also, that was Talos being Fury, I believe, so that's a whole weird thing. But I think he talks about his ex-wife in that. And I just knew we were going to get some Fury family life in this, and I'm happy we're getting that. Going back a little bit to the AI sequence, because there is one more thing I do want to say about that. It was kind of brought up in the comments on my episode 1 review, and I just want to touch on this. I do know that the AI sequence was given a reason from sort of production as to why they chose to go that way. I don't remember exactly who commented on this, but I did read the article about sort of what they were saying as to why they did it. It has to do with sort of capitalizing on the themes and highlighting the themes of paranoia in this. Obviously, anyone can be a Skrull, and AI is intense and it's creating paranoia amongst us. However, I would say that AI isn't really creating paranoia, because in a lot of cases, I think the feelings of fear that people have and frustration and anger are in a lot of ways justified. Like I said, I'm not anti-AI or anything, but I don't think I would call people that are worried about it paranoid. I think that's downplaying it a bit. And I would also say that the other thing in regards to AI and that being an artistic reason why they're doing it, I think that's really cool if that is an artistic reason. I think it's a cool artistic reason to have. I don't believe that that's the real reason that they did it. I'm sure that's part of it. They wanted to create a sense of paranoia, and then someone said, well, we could do AI and it would save us money, and they said, oh yeah, that would fit, let's just do that, as opposed to thinking of a way to create a sense of paranoia without using AI, which I think they also could have done, to be honest. Anyways, that's all I'm gonna say about that. When we're talking about just comparing in general, though, this episode 2 to episode 1, I gotta say, I like episode 2 even more, and I really feel like it's ramping in a really good way, and I am very excited. I'm very interested to see when we get to mid-season what the pacing is like, because I always feel like with a lot of Disney Plus shows, mid-season is a place where we sometimes kind of struggle a bit, and I'm curious to see if this has a steady ramp all the way to the end, because I would really love that for this show. I think it would do really well, and I believe it can do that. So keep your fingers crossed with me. I would really love to see it continue to ramp. I would really love to see secrets building, things revealed. It's just adding more pieces. In this, we get a few more pieces sort of added in. And one of the things that we do get added in that I thought was very interesting is in the, Tell Me Something I Don't Know game that Fury plays with Talos. We get the reveal, sort of, I think, that there's stuff that Talos is not telling him about the Skrull-Kree war. And obviously it's not something that Talos says, because he says to Fury, you know everything about that. But I get the sense from the way he said that, and from some other things that were said in the episode with the meeting, the council meeting, and the one woman who basically said, I'm not going to bow to you, Gravik, that the Skrulls are the one that started the war. Because she basically says, we've been here before, we've already done this, and the fact that you all are just totally forgetting that is ridiculous. I refuse to bow to you. Think of our history, and how can you even be doing this, considering? Which makes me think they started the war and lost it. And she's basically saying, we already did this once, like, let's not fall into this trap again. And I think that's really interesting, because it also ties back to something I was talking about after I watched Captain Marvel, which obviously I didn't do a review on this channel. Maybe I should go back and rewatch it, though. But with Captain Marvel, something that I really loved was I felt the theme of that was actually just that war is bad. At the end of that movie, I was talking to a lot of people about it, and there were quite a few people that said, the Kree are the bad guys, the Kree are the bad guys. But I personally don't think there was a bad guy team in that first Captain Marvel film. I think what we were supposed to take away from that is that the Skrulls, who we initially thought were bad and found out were good, that, like, there is really no bad or good. It's kind of all gray. And at the end of the day, the thing that's really bad is us having wars. And I think this show is also going to sort of play on some of the themes that were built there and build on that. Obviously, there's other things also happening, but I just kind of love that callback to that theme, because it resonates with me. War is bad. It's just a bad time. It's a really bad time, actually, because Nick Fury is now all alone. He has no one here beside him, and now I don't know how he's going to deal with this problem. Hey, but at least he's got his Skrull wife. So Skrull wife, maybe she's got some ideas. Maybe she can help us out. Fingers crossed, I'm hoping. Also, when it comes to, Skrull ladies, we still don't really know what happened to Soren. We know she died, but we don't know what happened. And I'm kind of thinking, what if she's not really dead? Is that possible? Could she actually be hiding somewhere? The interesting thing was that we didn't actually see Gravik. We haven't seen him, I don't think yet, transform back into a Skrull in the present day. We saw obviously his younger Skrull self, but not his older Skrull self yet. And part of me was kind of like, is it possible that Gravik is Soren? But then Talos basically said, she died, and he said that a couple times. So I do think he's probably was there and saw her die and, like, saw her body. However, I'm just curious, because I don't know what happened. It's making me create theories. Although I will admit that they're probably very inaccurate theories. So I'll mostly keep them to myself right now. I'm really looking forward to the moment when Gaia calls out Gravik about her mom and that scene, because I think it's going to be amazing. Well, friends, that's basically what I thought of this episode. Mostly, I would say it's even better than episode 1. You should definitely watch it. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Let me know if you're loving it. Let me know if you have any theories. I want to hear them. And I cannot wait to discuss episode 3 with you. Be careful. Watch out for Skrulls. Don't like war. No, that's not a thing to say. Do what you want, but war is bad. And yeah, I think that's where we're going to leave it. All right, I'll see you next time. Stay nerdy! Woo!